Today, we're gonna go head to head to see who makes the best pet-friendly meals.
Let's go.
All right.
And I told myself that I was going to stream every single day except for on Sundays.
Nice.
Oh, fuck. And today... Watch later. I wanted to watch this because this is funny.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up,
That
we got
Candace
shaped
Owens
video
and
masks. You can use
Ben
different
Shapiro
shapes
are
to create
beefing right
complete...
now because of
And then the question
Israel.
about Candace Owens, I think her behavior during this is disgraceful. Without a doubt.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous.
Oh, I'm saying
Everybody
faux
can see the moves she's
sophistication,
making,
like
the
she
things
doesn't
that
know
she's
what she's
saying,
talking
and it's
about.
reputable.
There you have Ben Shapiro calling his Daily Wire colleague Candace Owens disgraceful over her comments and coverage
Because she
of the
doesn't think
ongoing
that we
war
should be
in the Gaza
supporting
Strip,
the
which
war.
has in fact disproportionately killed thousands of civilians, including children. Now, showing concern for innocent civilians dying is apparently a big no-no for Ben Shapiro, who until now has kind of shied away from being overly critical of Candace Owens or any of his colleagues publicly.
Damn it.
Just keep in mind the types of things that Matt Walsh has said on his show. But with that said, let's dive in a little bit, see what Candace Owens has said about this issue on the record, and maybe we can figure out what it is exactly that Ben Shapiro finds so disgraceful. Now, this tweet from November 3rd certainly caught my attention, mostly because I agree with it, and I was shocked that she tweeted anything that I would agree with. But here's what she said. No government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide, ever. There's no justification for a genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said or is even considered the least bit controversial to state. Now, there are other things I'm going to share with you in regard to her coverage, her commentary, including what she tweeted out soon after that video of Ben Shapiro was released. But before we get to all of that, Cenk, what are your thoughts about Candace Owens' tweet?
No, the tweet is 100% fine.
Yeah.
And so that's not the issue. Look, I'm conflicted about the right wing that is now saying that Israel's wrong. Partly because, hey, look, if we have bipartisan agreement that we should not be funding the atrocities that's happening in Gaza, and we should treat Palestinians as human beings and value them, that's fantastic.
The what?
And I've been waiting for that breakthrough to happen for a long, long time. On the other hand, there are some in the right wing that might be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Those have like 15
Candace
milligrams
did support Kanye West
These are
after
just
he
sixes,
said
but-
awful comments about Jewish people, Hitler, etc.
All right.
And so that gives me very significant pause.
Take this.
And then Tucker Carlson has also said things that may give me pause about his views of Jewish Americans, etc. And so
I wonder what he's talking about.
So that's why this is a tough
Tucker
issue where
Carlson
it feels to me, some of the leaders at least are accidentally right, maybe for the wrong reasons, and I'm worried about supporting that. At the same time, it's interesting the tack that Shapiro is taking, because so we have people here that disagree, hosts that disagree, and we just air it out. And we don't say they're despicable, we just have conversations and make sure both sides are represented. So he's taking a different tack, and that's interesting as well.
Yeah, I think it would be more helpful to engage in that conversation rather than, talk about each other behind each other's backs, or I mean publicly, but not directly to one another. But with that said, I totally hear what you're saying, Cenk, because I do, of course, take into account some of the statements that Candace Owens has made in the past. I remember her being part of a congressional hearing where she said some incredibly creepy things that seem to provide cover and defend, Hitler. So you should know that context, but you should also know this context.
I don't remember
None
her
of us
ever
really
saying
know who
anything
Candace Owens really
defending
is.
Hitler.
Because if you dig deeper into her history,
Sounds pretty base.
she used to run a blog that was highly critical of Donald Trump. She had a left-wing perspective on political issues, and then suddenly, without notice, she switched on pretty much everything. So I don't know what's actually in her heart or mind. What I do know is, taken in a vacuum, I think that tweet is totally fine. But of course, you should never look at anything as if it's in a vacuum, right? So you should take that context into consideration. Now, with that said, there was a conversation that she had with a Jewish comedian by the name of Ami Kozak on her show. And there were a few interesting things that came up in the context of that conversation. So I want to show you what I'm talking about. Let's take a look.
People are feeling like they can't even speak about this subject, or they can't talk to a person like the way that you and I are speaking without being called a Jew hater. And so it's kind of creating this weird situation where actually it's furthering the problem to keep calling people Jew haters. It's furthering the problem to call people anti-Semitic. It would be more helpful to actually try to see where you connect and see how you're feeling, because it humanizes things. It's like, listen, I'm not Jewish, so I don't feel as radically or as motivated as you do about the situation that's happening. I am being selfish and American and saying I don't want a single dollar to go overseas because we've been in a bunch of useless wars, and that might be upsetting to hear, but there's no anti-Semitism in my heart when I say it. It's just me being consistent in how I've always felt.
So she's coming at it from an America first, we need to take care of our own country before we provide military funding for other countries. To be fair, she has been consistent on that. She doesn't want to send any aid to Ukraine. Whether you agree with that or not is an entirely different story, but it's not like she's singling out Israel while saying, no, we gotta send a ton of funds to Ukraine. But before we go to you, Cenk, I want to go to one other moment in that interview. It's short, and I just want you to pay close attention to her facial expression when he responds to her, because I can kind of tell that she didn't like what he had to say. Let's watch.
Hi, I'm Kenny Simpson from Kenny Simpson Nissan.
Anymore.
I had to yell at her, dude. It was bad. I'd be like out in the middle of public and she'd just send me a picture of you like in the shower or something. Just be like your bare ass.
What the fuck? Bro, this shit's pissing me off.
What's it doing?
The internet's acting fucky. I don't know why. I'm gonna turn my disconnect mine.
I don't think PlayStation's doing anything.
Disconnect. I can't believe I got fucked like that.
Yeah, what? Oh, when that dude fucking stole the shit.
Oh no, it wasn't even like. So I had 5 and there was one that only had 1 and I lost every single one of my people.
Damn.
With 5 people. That's bullshit.
That is bullshit.
And then the question is about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this
Of Ben Shapiro was released.
Like right there.
America first, we need to take care of our own country before we provide military funding for other countries. To be fair, she has been consistent on that. She doesn't want to send any aid to Ukraine. Whether you agree with that or not is an entirely different story, but it's not like she's singling out Israel while saying, no, we gotta send a ton of funds to Ukraine. But before we go to you, Cenk, I want to go to one other moment in that interview. It's short. And I just want you to pay close attention to her facial expression when he responds to her, because I can kind of tell that she didn't like what he had to say. Let's watch.
I genuinely would vote against sending a single dollar to Israel, like I was vocal about not sending money to Ukraine or any other country. It's nothing personal. It's just I am very much America first. I'm looking at what's happening in America right now. I've been talking about what's happening at the universities. There's a million ways I would spend that money, and first and foremost, it would be to defend our own borders. And I don't say that to
Right. I can understand that as a policy matter, as a foreign aid, how one believes about foreign aid, the libertarian isolationist position. I fully understand it. There were people who were fully pro-Israel in the world way back when who used to also say no foreign aid because it entangles us with America in ways that we can't have our independence.
I just thought that was an interesting moment.
That's an interesting laser eyes there. Anyways, look, I think that her tweet in response to Ben Shapiro speaking out is a little bit more telling. Again, it could go in 2 directions. I'll give you both directions. But she wrote, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." Yada yada, Christian, you know.
No, be fair. You should read it. Read the
Okay,
whole
all
thing.
right. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you,
This
and
sounds
shall
based as
say
fuck.
all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. So you can see that seems like a jab at Shapiro. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money.
That's funny.
And then she also added Christ is king.
Because he's a Jew.
Now, one way to interpret that is, hey, look at this wonderful religious person who's quoting Jesus and saying we should be decent and kind and loving to everyone. That's a very generous interpretation. But hey, you know, again, it's not wrong that we shouldn't fund the financing of killing Palestinian civilians. The ungenerous version of looking at that is, here's a Bible quote against this Jewish guy. And he's, you know, slandering me here and saying evil things against me. And remember, Christ is king. And so if and you can't serve both God and money, and presumably Shapiro's money there. Now it's technically true because she works for him, but it's also could be a reference to anti-Semitic tropes about controlling media, et cetera, which Kanye said and she backed initially. So you can see how it can go in both directions. But my guess is eventually there'll be a rift because Ben Shapiro does have a red line and this is it, okay? And he tolerated the Kanye stuff barely. I thought he shouldn't have tolerated that. This is a policy disagreement.
Yeah, I agree, totally
I think he's got his priorities mixed up there. But she's obviously getting very, very close to the red line. And she wants to make money on her own too. So if they split, she's going to lean, my guess is, she's going to lean into the Christ is king kind of talk.
Right. Look, final thing I'll say about
Christ
this
is
is
king.
in regard to her
Christ is
last
king.
tweet following his statement on that video that we showed you. I find passive aggressiveness to be the most cowardly thing on the planet. I like aggressive aggressiveness. So if you got something to say it, and say it to the person that you mean for it to be directed to. Don't be passive aggressive, and don't do this like middle-aged mom thing where you use social media to engage in your passive aggressiveness. Sorry, middle-aged moms, you guys know it's true. It happens all the time. We all see it. Okay?
I didn't even know that.
Let's be better than that.
Okay.
You want to say something, just say it, and say it directly to the person that you mean to say it to. That's all I'll say.
Look, we've had clashes here between the hosts.
Definitely,
I think,
yep.
I'm surprised that they're not having a conversation about it. And remember, these are the guys who say cancel culture, don't do that, have freedom of speech. I mean, look, I don't know why I'm helping them with their business model, but if I was them, I'd get Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens in a room. I'd have that conversation. It would be interesting.
I think that they should definitely do that.
And they would get a lot of viewers. I think that's the right way to hash it out, no matter who's in trouble, left wing, right wing, or whatever motivation they have for saying what they did. The best way to do this is to talk it out. Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below because that makes you a member. And members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.
I'm so glad you're my personal.
The United States Postal Service, the reliable, affordable way to send more joy.
Attack that one. Motherfucker.
In this case, I was like, I think this is a definition of a demon. Like, this person is possessed. In this case, I was like, I think this is a definition of a demon. Like, this person is possessed.
Yeah, bitch ass nickel. Bro, why is the internet doing
In this case, I was like, I think this is a definition of a demon. Like, this person is possessed.
Bro, this is pissing me off.
In this case, I was like, I think this is a definition of a demon. Like, this person is possessed.
Beloved, welcome back. As a self-appointed field commander of my particular war band, one of the things that I have been lacking has been getting my comm sorted out. What does the military, what do the guys say? Shoot, move, communicate. Well, when the war band finally got invested in night vision, we thought, you know what, that's going to be the end-all be-all. We'll be able to move as a group in the dark. This will be a tremendous advantage. And as soon as we started doing that and practicing and working together, the thing that became obvious was we had a huge problem, and that was lack of communications. Yes, we all had the same radios. Yes, they were all on the proper frequency. But when we got on a motorcycle or we got in a quad or we were trying to move or got separated, we did not have the ability to communicate with one another. Because I'll tell you what, cardinal rule of your war band in mind, there are no cell phones. There are no electronics. There are no nothing. We're going back to...
Well, hello, baby girl. How are you today?
So good. It's Christmas Eve.
Voice, face-to-face communications, as well as map and compass. These devices are not to be used, if you know what I mean. But radios are important. So we realized that right away. Trying to do things, complex tasks, and stop and be talking with the radio, and plus all of the how loud it was obviously a problem. So I had to look at this, and we finally got things solved, a solution. So I'm gonna share with you my journey of radios and getting a go-to-war setup. You know, that's going to be mimicking what the professional soldiers are using. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not doing this video to tell you what to do. I'm just doing this video to share with you the mistakes I've made and what we've settled on that actually works pretty good. I don't want any elitism. We use Bofang radios. That's what we can afford. That's what we've got. That's what the war band can field right now, and it's totally serviceable. So I don't want to hear it. You may have bad radios, you know, all the latest, greatest, but we're out shooting, moving, and communicating and using ours while yours sits and you haven't turned it on for a year. So I don't want to hear it. So this is what we have. Would it be nicer to have Motorola's or something like that? Of course. But, you know, we're dancing with the one we brought, right? So we're kind of starting with that. All right, so I'll start off, well, I'll just talk. That's what I do. I talk. The first investment I made, I kicked myself. This was right before COVID. I bought a set of Peltors. Now, these are Peltor. These are the 3 series. And I remember very distinctly when I was ordering these, they were about half the price that they are now. I had a choice of getting one with a downlink, meaning with a microphone, or not a microphone. And the price was really not that much difference. And I remember wavering back and forth, and I did not buy it. Don't be that guy. Oh, I've kicked myself so many times. It's nice to have an extra pair, but if you don't have, you know, you can have all the features, but not having the downlink and the microphone just wasn't working. You know, we had one of the war band members had a downlink, and I had this, and no one else, and so it just wasn't working. So where I had to start for my system was I had to buy another set of Peltors. I didn't want to drop the $800 that they cost, but that's the way it is. So I went and sold some stuff that I don't use anymore, and I thought, you know what, I'd rather have something sitting around collecting dust or something that I could actually use. So I traded up, and I ended up getting a set of Peltor 5s right here with that beautiful downlink. So when you see these cables hanging, I'll explain all this to you. I'm going to make it simple. I'll tell you where to get it. But if you haven't already, if you're on the fence, whatever you're going to buy, make sure it's got a downlink. This is the important part. This is what you're going to need to plug into your whole radio setup so you can shoot, move, and communicate with your friends. So these are mounted on my MTech helmet. I think we all get the drill. But this is the new thing for me. This is where I started. This is what brought it all together. Now I have the mic, and I'm good to go. Now, if you're looking for radio stuff, this is not a product endorsement. These are just good people. Go over and go see Evan at Radio Made Easy. I'll put a link in the description. He's going to have all that stuff. Also, you know, keep it real. I also have gotten stuff from Disco 32. Disco 32 is a good outfit as well. So both those guys are going to be able to hook you up with all this stuff and make it very simple for you. But my system basically is right here. Now, it's got to be somewhat flexible. I don't have the resources, nor do Warband, to have multiples of everything. I'm not always going to go out with plates. What I'm doing, as self-appointed field marshal of my Warband, is that I'm designing little practices, starting simple. For example, the next one I come up with, all right, we have a mission. We're going to go to this point. We're going to do this particular task. It could be just something simple, whatever. You make it up. I'm not going to tell you what mine are. And then, but it's levels of complexity. First off, there's a team going in at night, so we're utilizing night vision. We're also, once we have someone to drop us off, everyone's in communication. We drop off right out of the vehicle. He goes up for Overwatch until a certain time, and then we have a certain amount of time to complete our task. Whether we complete it or not, we move, and then we go to an extraction point, which he meets to another one. So there's complexities, meaning you have to do something in the dark as a team, move and communicate and work together. Very simple. It's nothing where anyone's going to get lost or get hurt or anything. There's nothing illegal here. We're just having fun. We're just practicing using our equipment. So that's the reason why we're putting the importance on setting this stuff up. And I don't know how else to train. You can only watch so many videos, but you finally got to put all that stuff you've invested your money in and get out there and field it in all conditions. And so we've resolved to do that, and that's going to be an important thing. Twice a month, if we could do it, maybe more often, I will create little scenarios and increase the complexity so that we can figure out what works and what doesn't work. So I know this is all very complicated. You see all these, all these wires and stuff on dudes' vests and such. But I'll
damn,
it's not complicated.
That was fucked.
It was for me, but now I understand it. Now I'm using it. Okay, so let's start with a radio. If you're going to buy a radio, if you haven't bought one yet, this is hard to beat. Less than $100. Go over and see Evan, and he'll hook you up here. He's got packages. But this is the Baofeng. What model is this? This is the UV5R Plus, and this is the one that he recommends. And these have been really good. So you start with a radio right there. once it's programmed, you can buy the cable and program if you've got a couple buddies. Just figure it out. I'm not going to get into all the detail. There's nerds online for that. Just get this radio, and the next thing you need is going to be what they call a push-to-talk. We'll just build this out together, right? So a push-to-talk is just what it says. It's got a big button on it. It's got a clip on it that will fit in molly gear, so it's very versatile. You could clip it on a chest rig as well as plate carrier, what have you. But it's just you push the button. You push the button, hold and talk. Now you have a microphone on your Peltor, and then you've got comms in your ears silently, so no one else can hear it. So if you're going to do the Baofeng, you just get one of these push-to-talks. This is the Kenwood plug, the Baofeng plug, whatever. You plug this guy in here right here. All right? So if I'm going to take this out of my plate carrier and put it into my chest rig, because I don't need armor, I'm just going to grab these two right here. Now, the next is going to be an antenna. Now, there's a couple options. If I'm just grab and go, I'll just put my whip on there. Whatever antenna you want, you can coil it up. Now, I'll put that in a pocket. This fits perfectly inside of a magazine pocket on your chest rig. You're not in Fallujah. You don't need to have a full battle rattle. Think about less is more. For what we're doing, gentlemen, we need to be light and fast. Our MO is to know our surroundings, like the back of our hands, how to move and operate in them, everything that we should need to know where we would have a home field advantage. You see what I'm saying? So flexibility, versatility. So I have this antenna. Now, if I'm going to put this in my plate rig, I've got a lot of stuff going on. I don't want to add an extra antenna. Evan hooked me up with this flexible one.
No,
you can see that
nigga.
goes, and you've seen these before. You can just weave it in the back, and these work extraordinarily well also.
Fuck!
You can see that's an antenna. It's a very long when you stretch it out, but you can you can hide it and stuff, and it's not going to get in your way. And so that's just going to stay on that plate carrier, right? And then when I want to go in here, I've got my quarter turn, I've got it, everything is set up. Now when I put my Dawn, my plate carrier, I put my helmet on. What did I do with that? Did I grab my helmet? I had all my props here ready for you guys, and oh, here we go.
Teamwork lights you up. With Asana, many hands coordinate across many different types of teams, keeping tiny tasks and big light bulb moments.
Oh, fuck, I'm so tired today.
That's where that beloved downwind comes from.
I worked 14 hours today pouring concrete.
Got my nods on the ground there. Right there. So you put your helmet on, and you snap that right into your push-to-talk. Boom, you're done. That's all there is to it. You got $100 for radio and a couple accessories. A couple $100 and you're going. You're good. Not counting your Peltors. So that's really all there is to it. And I'm not going to get into the technical aspects of it, dude. I'm not that guy. I always think of myself like the character on, what was the name of that movie? Hogan's Heroes. Hogan's Heroes. Was it the Donald Sutherland character when he's the tank commander and he's having an argument back and forth with his chief mechanic and and he's like, man, I don't want to hear about all that stuff. I don't know what makes him go. I just ride him. That's the way I look at it. So let guys like Evan, Disco 32, those guys have already done the work for you. I'm just kind of showing you what's out there and some ideas of how to use that. So that's it. Do I have anything else to add? As far as if you want a budget option, don't worry. You're like, oh, if you tuned out, you're like, oh, $800 for contacts. That's not happening. Well, we still have guys in the warband that are using the Howard Lights here. Is that what these are? I think they are. Yeah, the Howard Lights. These are, they used to be, what, $60, $65? If you look at, these are indeed amplified, like the Peltors. The quality's not going to be there, but they're not bad. And they do have an option. They have a 3.5 jack on there. No, it's not the super skookum one, like the military grade one's going to have, but at least it's something, and it will work. You can harden these things up. You just understand that you're going to have some reliability. It's not going to be as reliable, but you can make the stuff function. But you could do the same thing. You can go get yourself an airsoft helmet, whatever it takes to get you going and moving, get the warband going and starting to use the stuff. But there's no shame in this. Before I got these, I was going to go with this. I'm like, what, this is what I have. That's what I can use. And you can get adapters for that as well. But that ability, I'll tell you, this is a hard thing with no one. I don't have anyone to show me, so I have to learn on YouTube videos and I have to sort out what's good and what's bad. But really, the best training comes from what we get the most out of is just going out together and using the stuff. Very simply, go for a walk and then start adding in the complexities and whatever you have to do until you can have a level of proficiency. And that's going to shake out for you exactly what doesn't work. I'll close with this. I've shared this story many times, but have you heard the term a Hudson Bay start? What is a Hudson Bay start? Hudson Bay start was fur trappers, prospectors, men that were seeking to go out and find their fortune. Maybe they'd never been out in the woods before, and they just decided, you know what, I'm not going to work in the factories anymore. I'm done with this. I'm going to go out and become a trapper. How do you know what you need? How do you know what equipment to put together? So they would go to the Hudson Bay trading area, like the Bass Pro Shop of the day. They would gather the things that they would need, and then they would travel a day's journey away from there. They would set up camp, and they'd spend a day or two. And that would tell them very quickly what they forgot. Oh, goodness, I forgot salt. Oh, I forgot this, or I have no way to do this. Then they would travel back, get what they needed, and then be in a much better position for when it got real, that they wouldn't be in need, and they would have the equipment that they need. So that's what we're doing here. This is the Hudson Bay start before the big struggle really comes.
Oh.
You don't want to be trying to find friends, network, and put together a warband in those distrusting days. Be careful who you bring into your inner circle. Don't trust just anyone. And remember, no electronics, no phones, none of that. No iPads, no smartwatches. It's map and compass. And if you want to communicate something to them, you speak to them.
Neon and Sam. This video is going to sound like I'm defending Sam or whatever the case is.
Bro, this fucking sucks.
Are you a shorter guy who's tired of looking sloppy?
Why is it just this video?
In this case, I was like, I think this is a definition of a demon. Like, this person is possessed.
Weird. What the fuck? Come on. I'm so confused. What the fuck? Why the fuck is the internet so slow right now?
I don't know. I don't have fucking Wi-Fi on this.
I'm gonna give you my #1 tip
Okay,
to get over
maybe
a
it'll work this
breakup,
time.
and that is gonna be going to therapy. Going to therapy helped me so much.
Fuck that.
That's what I was just about to say. I was like, therapy's for pussies, bro. What the fuck? Maybe.
And then the question is about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this is disgraceful. Without a doubt. I can't close that. Yeah, and she still works for my company. I mean, I think she's been absolutely
Excellent. Let's try this. Is that your phone?
Yeah.
I thought it was coming from my speaker. I mean, not from my speaker, from my headphones. It was confusing me. Yeah, you were forced, though. That's different.
The big dick JJ.
That was court mandated.
Was it actually?
Yeah. Oh. Oh, you can't. Bro, what the fuck? I just want to watch a video.
From our orchards in southern Oregon.
But yeah, sure, you can fucking...
Royal Riviera pears are easy.
I don't know what that statement serves to accomplish here. You know what I mean? Like, so here, like Ben, my question is this: what is your stance on this specific situation, right? And then Ben says, well, here's my stance on that situation. And then the follow-up is, well, that doesn't happen now. Okay, so therefore what?
I guess we'll watch this video.
Welcome back to another Debate Teacher Reacts video. My name is Nate Sala. I'm the president of a Christian nonprofit organization called Wise Disciple. And here at Wise Disciple, we're all about living effectively as Christians in today's culture. Now, if you're brand new to this video, to this entire series, or the whole channel, welcome, welcome. I'm very glad that you're here. Look, the reason that we do this specific series is to elevate the level of discourse when it comes to debates, when it comes to exchanges between two people on opposite sides of a particular issue. Now, we've been plugging away, doing things in the area of theology and apologetics, you know, religion and non-religion. This time around, I want to look at abortion. All right, because I think that we can benefit from making some observations and parsing out some good things that are happening in these kinds of discussions and some bad things that are happening. So what I'm going to do, it's a quick exercise. I'm going to type in YouTube abortion debate, and we're just going to look at some of the most viewed videos of all time in this specific category of search. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in right now. All right, now having done the search, now I found about 4 exchanges, some of the most viewed videos of all time on abortion debates on YouTube, and it really centers around two political figures that are very controversial depending on, you know, what side of the fence that you fall, right? So we're looking at 2 video exchanges from Ben Shapiro with others, and then Steven Crowder with some others. So this is the very first video here. Now, combined, the videos that we're looking at, I think makes a grand total of like 20 million views on YouTube. So hopefully this best represents what people are sort of seeing when they think about and watch exchanges about abortion between two people on opposite sides of the fence. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Okay, last question about your Planned Parenthood thing. So why do you think it's not about people's bodies, it's about the separate life? Like, after the baby's born, how come people don't care about them? They don't care where they have foster care, they don't care about the mother being poor.
Okay, I do care about so there are a couple of questions in there all wrapped up into one. You know, did you catch that? This is why it's very difficult to have a productive conversation, particularly about like emotional boilerplate issues like abortion. You know, because people tend to wander. And it's not a knock on people, you know, because a lot of us tend to do this. It's just that we start talking about something and then our mind shift and then whatever comes to mind just falls out of our mouth, you know? And sometimes that's nerves, sometimes it's just untrained thinking, you know, but the effect of all of this is the questions themselves will not get answered. This young lady just asked more than one question, and watch what's going to happen. Only the last question is going to get answered. Why? Because people cannot typically track multiple questions in like 7 seconds.
I do care about the mother being poor. I do care about foster care.
Okay, but why don't you advocate for that though? Because Planned Parenthood is supposed to prevent abortions.
Because, well, Planned Parenthood doesn't prevent abortions. They perform hundreds of thousands of abortions a year. They perform 300,000 abortions a year. They're the leading abortion mill in the United States.
Evidence for that though?
That they perform 300,000 abortions a year from Planned Parenthood. That's my evidence.
So she changed the subject again here, okay?
Like they literally
she started off
said
by
they do that.
asking, well, why put the focus on the life of the baby and not on mother's rights, okay? Now, from the pro-choice stance, that's an important question to ask. Okay, but instead of waiting for an answer, she immediately asked another question. Why don't you care about babies after they're born? And now she just made a statement,
homies,
which is Planned Parenthood prevents abortions. Okay, so she just asked 2 questions and made a claim, which is not great. And I'm not knocking her skills. I mean, she's probably not a debater, but if you really care about engaging the other side effectively, you need to stick with one question until you've either made your point, you know, exposed errors from the other side, or both.
They don't dispute that. No one disputes that.
Like birth control and cancer.
I'm not anti-birth control.
I know.
Birth control is extraordinarily cheap.
That provides
I'm
affordable
anti-birth
birth control, which would in turn
Okay, they're not the only people in America who provide affordable birth control. You can go get a pack of condoms down at the local CVS for $12.
People need medication too.
Yes, and it's true that most forms of birth control are also extraordinarily cheap on an annualized basis, unless you have a severe problem. Most birth control is very cheap and readily available. And I'm not against people going and getting that from Planned Parenthood. As you may have noticed, I'm mostly against abortion. If you want to go to Planned Parenthood and get a contraceptive,
I mean, yeah, I'm way more opposed to abortion than I am to birth control, but I'm
Go
also
for it.
opposed to birth
I don't
control.
care. I do care
Well,
when
you
you
know
start
that
killing babies. This is a
birth
problem
control, like
But what about in rape and incest?
the pill, I guess
Okay, so this is
specifically,
so here's the
makes
question.
women's bodies feel
I mean,
like
this is a
they're
long
having
conversation. I'm
Right.
enjoying it actually,
fucking-
which is why I'm allowing you to stay.
what's
But
it
it's the
once
question
every
of
month.
rape and incest. First of all, important to
Not a
know, rape and
period, a
incest
fucking,
are not only a vast minority
no.
of abortion
Fucking,
cases, they're an
what- I can't think
extraordinarily
of the
low
word.
percentage of abortion cases. So
Yeah.
if we can first stipulate that all the
when
other
the baby
abortions are
dies.
bad, then we can talk about that.
a
other ones. Can we do
miscarriage,
that?
like
Are all the other
every
abortions
month.
bad, or are those ones okay? And you're just
Look at that.
Yeah, it
so
makes
she
their
asked
body
about
feel
rape
like
and
they're having
incest,
a
which again, from the pro-choice
miscarriage.
perspective, is it's a legitimate question to address, right? But even actually for some pro-life folks, those are legitimate exceptions, rape and incest. All right. I mean, if you're pro-life and you think that the unborn should be aborted because of rape and incest, I don't think you've wrestled with your arguments very well. But the point is, she asked about rape and incest, and Shapiro recognizes the maneuver here. Okay, because if you keep your door open a few inches based on certain exceptions, then maybe you can keep pushing the door open even further with even more exceptions later, right? So it looks like Shapiro is asking her to concede that all other abortion cases are unjustified, probably to identify her real motives behind this question. And I'm not saying that she's being manipulative or doing this on purpose, but nevertheless, a lot of people go into these conversations and they don't really realize what they're doing. But the bottom line is the effect of all of this is a maneuver. And so Shapiro is trying to do something here to identify the motives behind it.
Are you willing to stipulate that all the other abortions are bad? Just rape and incest bother you?
I mean, no, I believe a woman should have the right to move
Got
on.
it. So it's an excuse, right? So it's an excuse so that we can say that, so that we can take the marginal case and then say that the marginal case applies to all cases. Okay, that's again faulty thinking. But if you want me to answer specifically on rape and incest, here is my basic answer: rapists should be castrated or killed. You shouldn't kill babies. End of story.
But are they ever castrated and killed? Most rapists don't even get convicted.
I agree, and that's usually the left side of the aisle because the left side.
I don't know what that statement serves to accomplish here. You know what I mean? Like, so here, Ben, my question is this: what is your stance on this specific situation, right? And then Ben says, well, here's my stance on that situation, and then the follow-up is, well, that doesn't happen now. Okay, so therefore what? All right, so this is the next video. It's called Ben Shapiro Shreds. Now it's on all caps shreds, just like the other one was in all caps too. Like what is going? Now I'm thinking, like, have I ever done that? Like, have I ever titled something in all caps? I mean, like, the thing is, if your goal is to rally the base, then go ahead and do this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But if you really are seeking to change somebody's mind on the other side of the aisle, I really wouldn't be titling headlines this way. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's go ahead and see what happens.
So I have an issue with your stance on abortion. Okay. Right. So you define life as starting at conception through biology, pretty much. But I think you take the stance that life is intrinsically valuable because it's life. And that's where I disagree. I think there's two things that make life valuable. I think consciousness, the ability to experience pain, senses, and stuff like that, and personal identity. In particular, psychological continuity identity. So the fact that we have memories, we have relationships, people have relationships to us. I think those are
Do you need both of those, or is it either or? I just want to clarify your position.
Either or.
Okay, so if it's either or, then people with Alzheimer's have real continuity problems. You can't kill them.
No, because people still have relationships with them, though, right? So like just because
Well, I mean, you have a relationship with them, but with people with advanced stage Alzheimer's, they really don't have a relationship.
Right. So this is interesting. And here's the thing: these aren't debates, right? You know, these are people who got brave enough to get up in front of others and engage somebody who likely has participated in formal debates, in a number of formal debates, and he's real quick on his feet. Okay, so kudos to these people for, being brave to like get up and do this kind of thing. The number one fear, I believe, still is public speaking, right? Getting up in front of people, large crowds, and speaking and stuff. But these are not formal debates, so we're not going to see like serious clash, like in a true cross-examination, right? But this is interesting. This highlights the two sort of philosophical presuppositions that each side of the abortion debate, they have it. Like going into this argument, they already possess it. On the one hand, the pro-lifers will claim that the value of human persons rests in the kind of thing that they are at conception. Okay, they're human. That means humans have intrinsic value. Okay. Now, a lot of pro-choice advocates will argue that you're not human at conception, that you're, for lack of a better characterization, you're not fully assembled yet. You're a collection of parts, or maybe another word for that is properties. And you only become a human person when you've enough of those properties or parts have been manifested. This means that really what you have is extrinsic value. But here's the problem with looking at human value extrinsically. For every property that the unborn does not have, and from the pro-choice side, then you making the claim that, well, they're a non-person because they do not possess this particular specific property or capacity or whatever. You can point to a grown person that also does not have that property or capacity. And so then it leads you into...
I just wanted to show you the USCCA's free concealed carry reciprocity.
Damn it. Bro, what the fuck?
The Marvels has absolutely failed at the box office. It went on to gross $47 million in its opening weekend.
And the predictions were at like 80 something million.
They were higher first, and then they dropped to 80, and then they kept
at first
dropping.
it was like 110 million, then they dropped it further and further. This is the lowest MCU opening weekend of all time.
Yeah.
And Variety says this proves it's not a bulletproof franchise anymore.
I mean,
they've
it's
lost
been-
the formula.
Ant-Man and the last Ant-Man movie proved that.
They've been losing money, but the media wasn't willing to admit it until now.
It made $47 million domestically, $63 million overseas. It only made $110 million total. They said that they were hoping for it to make at least 140, and it couldn't even get that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it does next in the next weekend.
So they were hoping for 140. They called it unprecedented. Well, it's only unprecedented to somebody who hasn't been paying attention.
Yeah, one reply. We see a lot of coping in the replies. One said, "You conveniently forgot to mention this is the only MCU film without actors promoting it due to being on strike. You and other outlets certainly seem to remember it when Loki Season 2's OK premiere numbers came out."
Yeah.
So they're blaming it on the fact that Brie Larson couldn't be annoying in interviews.
Which is crazy because everyone knows that the number one way for this to tank even further would have been for Brie Larson to be able to go and do interviews.
Yeah.
Makes no
For
sense.
real.
Well,
whatsoever.
they had a couple of days.
Brie Larson is so
And they
fucking
have
annoying.
the remaining time that it's going to be in theaters, and I haven't seen any
Also,
interviews.
that makes no sense because
Oh,
Five Nights at Freddy's, Into the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy, Barbie, and Oppenheimer, all movies that seem to do just fine without their stars
Yeah.
going and yapping.
I think that people who work for Variety or film critics in general think that the press around these movies is a much bigger deal than it is.
Yeah.
That it has so much more of an impact on the money than it does. Like, Barbie did have some promo before the strike started, and then
But they went
it was
off,
nothing.
and it's funny because I was thinking like, didn't Barbie and Oppenheimer get pulled right before the premiere? No, they got pulled before the international premiere of the movie, not the box office premiere.
Mm-hmm.
So it had,
Alden Diaz said any reporting on the Marvel's box office that doesn't mention the fact that its stars were on strike and unable to promote it at all is incomplete and irresponsible at best. Promotional materials have immense value. Wrong. That stuff helps build movie-going experiences now.
Marvel doesn't need that though. Marvel is anti-fragile when it comes to promotion. Theoretically, Marvel should be able to sell movies on Marvel alone.
Salty nerd Matt Kaddish replied, "Oddly enough, the strike helped the film. If Brie had been out there trashing the male demographic of the fan base again, the box office might have been lower than it was."
Yeah.
I'm not so sure because of outrage marketing. Like, that would encourage people to hate watch at least. But
Perhaps.
they couldn't even bring in the hate watchers other
No.
than us.
It's the worst MCU opening ever. Not even inflation adjustment was needed for that. It beat Ant-Man in 2015, which was 57.2, and The Incredible Hulk in 2008, which was 55.4.
So The Flash and Blue Beetle did better.
I mean, those aren't Marvel though. So
Yeah, but if we're talking about them as like the underdog.
I wanted to watch this video.
Today, we're introducing the next chapter of Notion AI. It's called Q&A.
Nope, it's not gonna work. Damn it.
Still not working?
No.
It's fucking
It's just some videos. That one's working.
Okay, so you know how over the past few years there's been an increasing effort for
You
Republicans
fucking
to
douche.
remove any mention of queer people from books and schools because they want young people to grow up with no understanding of what a gay or trans person is. So when they hit 18, it's much easier to have already groomed them into being hateful towards queer people because they wouldn't have experienced them, like keep them in the closet, keep them silent. There's a reason book burnings are usually done by the bad guys, etc., etc. And you know how we always said, hey, they're doing this in schools and they're using the guise of child grooming as like a weapon against queer people, but they'll do this everywhere, not just in schools. Here you go. It starts local, but we know what they want. In Murfreesboro, Tennessee, a new city ordinance targeting public homosexuality is hitting libraries. City ordinance banning public homosexuality reaches Rutherford County libraries. Yeah, I saw this. Yeah. I don't think this is going to spread out into some gigantic national thing. You know, there are plenty of small American towns that, or I guess county in this case, that have done stuff like this, though, you know, they don't tend to do them in the modern era. And it's pretty indicative of the broader attitude conservatives have towards queer representation. Here we go, on the actual thing. Hello, Aaron Reed. A municipal mandate enacted this past June is now being used to target books in the local library system.
think that's pretty
The ordinance
based.
outlawing, quote, indecent behavior in public and prohibiting, quote, indecent materials is alarmingly vague in its delineation of indecency. This definition used in the law links back to a city statute that explicitly bans public homosexuality or materials promoting homosexuality. The code has already been used to target local pride events. Now the code's enforcement has reached the local library system, where at least 4 books, all containing queer themes, have been pulled from the shelves. Yeah, so, yeah, it's obviously, like, this is always how this happens, right, with the language of indecency, because they very rarely will they own up to it and say, we just want to ban gay people. They'll usually say, we want to ban inappropriate materials, and then they will, and then they'll include, like, homosexuality in that. I do think, though, it's kind of cool how open and, like, mask off they are about it. Take a look at these highlighted sections from the ordinance. Indecent behavior means indecent exposure, public indecency, lewd behavior, nudity, or sexual conduct as defined. Indecent materials and events, indecent behavior. No person shall knowingly, while in a public space, engage in indecent behavior, display, distribute, or broadcast indecent materials, conduct indecent events, or facilitate. The reason why I like this is
think
because it
after this
actually
game, I'm
completely
gonna go to
destroys the
bed.
argument conservatives make about how their opposition to queer books in schools is about grooming, because those books are, like, particularly pornographic. In this case, they are just flat out meaning indecent means homosexual. Like, they're destroying the euphemism, right? They're literally just arguing sexual conduct or material is inappropriate if it's gay, but appropriate if it's straight, which in my mind is great, because it really does away with the lie. I think this is actually a really, really, really useful wedge, because when they say the quiet part out loud, that means we get to point to the out loud statement and talk to the conservatives who are still speaking quietly. Now, when you talk to a conservative and they say, oh, well, we actually just want to ban sexually inappropriate material. From schools, you can ask them, okay, what about this, which uses the exact same language but just gets rid of the ambiguity. Right here, sections 21 to 71. Sexual conduct means acts of masturbation, homosexuality, sexual intercourse, physical contact with a person's clothed or unclothed genitals, blah, blah, blah. So just guys liking guys. Homosexuality does not just mean gay sex. It just means...
Yeah, bro. Get that shit
being
out
gay.
of our schools.
So you can just ask conservatives to defend this, because if they do defend this, it makes it very clear they don't actually believe in the dishonest euphemism, the idea of like, oh no, we're just against indecency, blah blah. Oh, that's nice to share. Not that there's been much ambiguity, you know. The Texan district attorney, or the district attorney has literally said that he is ready and willing to enforce state sodomy laws if given permission to. No, that's another person. Oh, wait, was that not the Texas AG? Who was that? No, it was the Texas AG. Maybe you're thinking of another person who also did it. You know, there's a lot of conservatives who want that. Texas AG said he would back law banning sodomy if Supreme Court reconsiders landmark case. Meaning, if the Supreme Court decided that it was not unconstitutional, he would use his police to, well, it's not his police technically, he would prosecute people for engaging in sodomy. Literally being brought to courthouses, tried, or arrested, tried, and put in prison for having sex with each other. Sodomy means blowjobs too, right? Technically, but they would never enforce that. Like, basically everyone sucks dick. Look throughout history and see where sodomy laws are applied, okay? Pretty weird that in a world where oral sex is sodomy, they, you know, they almost exclusively prosecute people for being homosexuals and not for, you know,
Why does this
giving
motherfucker
head.
keep doing that? I don't get what the fuck this guy's doing.
I mean, everyone does anal too, TBH. That is also true. Does that just mean gay sex or sex out of marriage? In practice, it means if you are gay, they will arrest you, which is what they want. Like this doesn't even get as much attention as like this is literally Texas AG, one of the most powerful legal officials in the state of Texas, which is itself more powerful and influential than a lot of European countries, saying, yeah, if the moment you give me the chance, I will send people to prison for engaging in anal sex.
Your fucking PlayStation games, like,
In practice, meaning being in a gay relationship. Now, the real question is, I guess since we apply this to the transgender issues, is this a form of genocide? And I would argue that it is. The historically, sodomy laws have basically just been a way to like automatically arrest and imprison people for being gay. Like police would literally investigate to see if men slept in the same bed or whatever. And in that, like in those circumstances, like it is essentially illegal to exist. Conditions made severe enough to destroy a group in whole or in part. You know, in a lot of ways, stuff like this is the norm, and there are people who want to return to it. We can't let them. Police used to raid truck stops. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Forcibly castrating or, you know, what's the term? not circumcising, forcibly, it's a chemical castration. That's it. A chemical castration. Yeah. Yeah, they do it even to World War II heroes. All right. Yeah, sterilizing was the word I was going to go for. Thank you.
What is Acorn, by the way? What is?
So Acorn is a financial tech.
How can you sit there and say a porn star hasn't gone through it? Like, I've met all the porn. How can you sit there and say a porn star hasn't gone through it? Like, I've met all the porn.
Bro, this is annoying me.
I don't know. Women, they're known for lying. So, you know that.
That's true. Believe no women. None of us.
25-year-old woman way prettier than a 19-year-old. She does her makeup better. She's more developed. She's just hotter. But she comes with an opinion. My favorite Bible verse is when Jesus compares a woman to a dog.
What up, guys? Welcome to the Just Pearly Things YouTube channel and welcome to my reaction series. Before I start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. That way you're going to be notified of my daily videos. Like the video on your way in. Let's get started. So today I am going to be reacting to John Zerka making Myron laugh for 8 minutes straight. So John Zerka, I would say is probably the funniest guy in the entire Red Pill. That guy is hilarious. So he guests on Fresh and Fit pretty frequently, and I wanted to see him making him laugh. So let's pull the footage.
I was convinced. I'm like, these guys hate me because I said Fresh sounds like he's got a sock in his mouth when he talks. And my whole community's like, that's why they're not having you on.
And then what's your relationship status?
I am single.
No,
Okay,
what the
so
fuck?
she's confirmed this time now.
Hold up. Did you not give me your phone number earlier? Were you not single?
I didn't remember you.
Oh, you know what? Let's call Zelensky. Yo. Where does a man get his value? His financial status.
That he has full control over.
But your hands are around his scrotum, and men hate their scrotum touch. Let go. Take
Some
out the
men
past.
love their
Why do you need that? Why do you have to be Hillary Clinton?
I've
never had an STD, okay? No.
Don't lie. Don't even lie right now.
No, I fuck teenagers. They don't have STDs.
What the fuck?
You should be in jail. That's like
No, they're 18, 19. 18 on the birthday.
That is so nasty. You should have
Call the cops, bitch. For me, there's nothing harder than, let's say you're fingering and she's about to come. There's nothing harder than calling her a loser when you're doing it.
I don't know what I was expecting.
What the fuck?
I don't know what I was expecting. It wasn't that. Oh dear. Oh gosh.
The only thing harder than calling her a loser as you're fingering her is when you mean it. Because if she lost her job that day, she's a fucking loser that day. She lost her job and you comfort her, you finger her, and you go, you lost your job, you fucking suck at life. They come so fucking hard from the truth. Bro, I see Preach in person. Dude, he fucking runs with all fours like a fucking animal. They do 20 hit pieces, call people rapists, and you want that fence-sitting cuck? Everyone in the chat, say his name and call his mama.
That is true. Abba and Preach Me Too'd the hell out of Myron. They Me Too'd the hell out of that man. It is so crazy when I figured out the full story of what happened with Myron, and the way like Abba and Preach phrased it was like that Myron was saying that girls had to sleep with him to get on the show. And it turns out that girl like unsent a bunch of messages and like it didn't show the full story. And I guess that girl even called him later to apologize. And it's so crazy because Abba and Preach like play the victims, but they just like edit shit out. Yeah, it's like kind of crazy, but I guess they make a lot of money doing it.
I will say though, because of their content,
Preach wipes with the whole roll. Why not even split it?
Yo, I told y'all that we can
Reach uses the fucking the water that wipes your ass. What's that thing called? He uses it to like lick the water.
My name is Diana. I'm 29 years old.
Wait, 39?
There we go.
29. Okay.
We need subtitles for it.
He does not give a fuck.
Where are you from, Diana?
Yo, I don't know. Women, they're known for lying. So, you know that...
That's true. Believe no women. None of us.
Of all women?
Oh, that's
Oh shit, he's gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't believe any woman. That's a new hashtag. Most of them are lying whores, bro. I don't know anything about Preach.
It's true though. Honestly, I was thinking about this. I'm like, why do we lie about male and female nature? And I came to this, I was thinking real hard. And I came to this conclusion is that it would make us look bad. And we don't want to look bad. So we're like, yeah, women and men are equally truth tellers. Nah, men are much more honest than women because we just get in this like weird hysteria. We'll like see some propaganda, and just like we're like, yeah, the world is completely sexist, racist, and homophobic. All because I watched some sad video on TikTok. I don't know what it is about us. We're just we're like kids. I don't know. It's like you show a kid, like they convince kids to believe in Santa Claus, and you know we've convinced women to believe in sexism, even though we live life on easy mode. Easy mode. It's so crazy.
He has a whole book called On Women, and in the book he says that women are basically just children. It's like they're like children, but with
because it's almost the end of the show. We gotta start lying
in an adult body.
Loki must be stopped.
No, okay, this is so true. This is so true because guys will come on and cap. They will cap so hard, and you know they're just capping because they want to get laid. So, you know, I appreciate the honesty, Zerka.
The first time in thousands of years, women closed the gap on cheating with men, and they're 10 times less horny than us. These are whores.
No, I was thinking about it. I'm like, we have a whole society of like 10% of men that are just living life. They're like, I don't know why you guys are complaining about the whores. We love these hoes. And the other 90% of men are just like lonely. And they're like, damn it, I have to marry one of these ran through hoes to get sex. It's a terrible life. And then just a bunch of hoes. Go ahead. Did you go on this?
How the fuck? Dude, we're on steroids of testosterone, and they close the gap. Bro, we've got...
Wait. Oh my gosh. I have been trying so hard to figure out something women are better at. I have been all week, no, month. I've been thinking so hard. Obviously not, I haven't been thinking as good as a guy, right? But I've been thinking so hard. And I'm like, women, we have to be better at something as a group. Like I found out we were more likely to kill the infants and the elderly. And I was like, oh shit, we can't even nurture. And then I find out that the men are having sex with transsexuals. We're not even getting fucked better than men. Like famous men are getting caught having sex with trannies. They would rather have sex with a guy dressed up as a woman rather than a woman. Ladies, this is not good. This is not good. But thank you, Zerka. You helped me think of something. Women are better at cheating. We're better cheaters. We are better right? Wouldn't you agree with that? We're better cheaters? Yeah, thank you. Everyone's thank you.
Height, strength, horny, testosterone. We beat them in everything. The one thing they beat us in is being a whore. What the fuck?
Being a whore?
Is he cool? He's a homosexual, bro. I hate to do this to you, bro, but he's not gonna come on here because that guy's a liberal homosexual fuck turned on Trump as if that guy's not masculine. What the fuck? He's a total liberal, bro. 100%. He wouldn't like any of us.
Yes, sir.
She reminds me of those women who don't shave the bush.
Hello?
I know, no. We both have that problem.
My back is sexy.
Do you have tits?
No, I don't.
Oh, you are just a disaster. Holy shit. She makes up an allegation. So I worked with whores for 4 years, and if you count nightclub bouncing, I worked with whores for like almost 10 years, right? So I know the fucking nature of a whore, and they've never done an allegation against me. Because then a million whores will come out and say, no, he's a good guy. Actually, I have a low libido, so I'm no creep. She's like, no wonder he has allegations against him. And this bitch is mad because I didn't fuck her. The bitch is 28, and I have an 18-year-old on my lap. Do the math, bitch. What the fuck? But it's not good, though. It's not good to move that reckless, because like the government believes whores, right? If she said...
You know, that's one thing. I never understand why we look at a whore as credible. Like, all these women that are coming out against hate are literal sex workers. They're literal sex workers. It's like, these are the quality that we're gonna, all right.
Fat, ugly bowling ball smiling at you with fat, ugly bowling ball with 2 shoes at the bottom. Yeah. I have an interesting theory of why guys like younger women, right? So like my phone freezes from all the women who text me, right?
Oh my God,
it's unfortunate.
So popular.
But now look at this. I genuinely put me on a lie detector test. On God, I find a 25-year-old woman way prettier than a 19-year-old. She does her makeup better. She's more developed. She's just hotter. She comes with an opinion. And it's so fucking... I'm not joking, man. Women suck at everything compared to men. Really everything. Even sucking dick. Some fucking gay dudes.
Funny as fuck.
Gay dudes, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh, this is just what I was saying. They're picking the trannies over us. Oh my gosh.
I mean, not cowboy, the cocaine Catholic, because he just does cocaine all the time.
You know, and I'm not saying there's not amazing individual women. Okay, so guys, can we just please don't say that I don't?
Man,
say
I thought that I was gonna be losing,
I'm a big
but it
Candace
seems
Owens
right now
fan.
that I'm actually
big
like
Candace
winning.
fan. Brett Cooper, awesome, another one. It's like my mom, pretty cool lady. But as a group, though, I just like look at. And when we have more OnlyFans workers, than teachers now. When we, you know, have a 50% divorce rate and we're like leaving all the men. When I see you guys using your kids as basically accessories on Instagram, I'm just like disappointed in us. Like, I'm like, guys, can we do anything?
Some of the teachers have OnlyFans as well.
Yeah, like, and then you get those pastors that are like female pastor porn stars. Yeah, you haven't seen that? They'll like do a whole pastor thing and then like they had an OnlyFans. I mean, they put it away when they start preaching, but it's like, or they'll be preaching and then go into it. It's like female nature, guys. We'll do anything for attention. It's so crazy. You know, what came first, men seeking sex or women seeking attention? I will die on this hill. I will die on the hill that women will seek attention before men will seek sex. I know this is crazy, but look on the street. Walk down the street. Do you see more men asking for sex or women taking their clothes off? It's like the men, imagine being a Christian man in today's day and age. Imagine being like a guy that like genuinely wanted to be celibate. How hard would it be with these women walking around naked, all these half-naked chicks on TV, and you can't even go to work? It's like you go to work and the women are dressed like whores too. You can't even avoid it. And it's almost, I was thinking about this, I'm like, is it harassment for a woman to be like half naked at work? Is it kind of harassing the men a little bit?
The thing is, let's even remove Christianity out of it. This is something I have been struggling with a lot. Like, because of everything I'm trying to get into, the whole boxing, training and all of that, I'm literally just trying to like streamline the things I consume content. But you can't even go on the internet today and not see soft porn. Like, everywhere you scroll, there's porn everywhere. There's women shaking their asses, showing their boobs.
Shaking
like,
their
can't just
asses.
get away from that thing. And like, I literally spend half of my mornings blocking pages on Instagram just to filter out, because people say no, it depends on what you watch. If you look at my explore page, there's literally nothing that has nothing to do with everything that's on there.
Bro, who's the guy who's talking right now? He sounds like he's like.
I will still see some girl naked shaking out like you can't get away.
Yeah.
No, you know what's crazy? I'd never seen porn before.
You know what?
I got
I was
Twitter.
gonna
But
say
all
that
these
guy is
freaking
like, "Why you
OnlyFans
gay?
workers. I would shit
Why
on
are you
OnlyFans,
gay?"
and they would tweet at me their
You okay?
OnlyFans
Why are you
shit,
gay?
and I'm like, no, I didn't want to see that. Or like when I was talking about Adam 22, they would like tweet at me pictures and videos. I was like, I've been traumatized. But it's like literally, you can't like. Sex is so in our face now, and I went to Vegas. Oh my god, it's so
Bro,
bad in
I was
Vegas.
so
All the girls
behind.
just have
Now
stickers
look
on
at
their
me.
face. They walk around topless, and I was spanked. I was walking
Killing
down
it.
the boardwalk. This chick spanked me because she like tried to talk to me, and I was like, okay. This chick spanked me, and I was just like, what the fuck? I was assaulted. I'm gonna use the feminist words. I was assaulted, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, a man has never done that to me. Just like walked up to me and spit. Like that would be weird. But this chick gets a pass, and I was like, if she did that to me, like women assault. Like I think women sexually. Like, if we're going to say, like, sexual assault, right? Now it's like a feminist word. But if we're going to say that is, like, touching, unwanted, like, touching, I think women do it to men more than men do it to women nowadays. It's almost like women, we love the attention from men, but they put all these legal tools so we can't get it. Like, you know, like men are walking away from relationships because the marriage laws are too bad. Men are walking away from like, even like hooking up with chicks. They're like, I got to be careful and make sure I get her consent. They don't want to get, you know, an allegation or whatever. I was thinking about it, but then it makes the women crazy. They're like, oh God, the men are pulling back. Let me take off my clothes. And that's why we have all these naked chicks. And it's kind of crazy. Once you like see it, you can't unsee it, because all the trad cons will be like, let's go back to traditionalism. Just find you like a nice lady. And the guys are like, where? And you know, it's like there's unicorns, but they're unicorns, you know?
You can still find a
And then
nice
it's like,
lady
what is the
nowadays.
average guy?
It's just
gonna
kind of
find a
harder
unicorn?
now.
Because men operate on like probabilities, not possibilities. They're like, probably not. They're like, this is real life, you know, where I'm not going to find a virgin 22-year-old. Anyways, my point is this. I really do think that assault, like it's almost like harassing men by being naked. Like, why do we have to look at these naked chicks? I just don't understand.
Statistics.
Yeah.
And they can't figure that equation out. They're so stupid. Yo, as soon as we come, leave the fucking house and go for a walk. We never want to be around you when we come. Go for a walk, go to the doghouse, go wherever the fuck you gotta go. And they always want to cuddle and shit, and you have to be out.
They always want to cuddle and shit.
But look, if a man comes, there's something about us that we want to be stoic like Sneeko, right? And every time I'm coming, I make the same grunt. Your Uber is here. Get the fuck out, baby.
Wow.
Dude, what
The fuck out. You know how little we need you? When we're gay, we make even more money. Who rules the world?
Wait, is that true?
LGBT rainbow flag corporations and all that. I'm telling you guys, we don't need you. We just like to be inside of you. Darling, I love to be inside of all you. I love fucking you guys, but you're useless. You don't bring resources. You work 4 years and expire, right? You need men to live. I don't need you for shit. I don't need you for shit.
You're 38 and never been married. I'm sorry.
Girl. My favorite Bible verse is when Jesus compares a woman to a dog.
Wait, does he really?
I don't know if this Bible verse.
Wait, hold on. Jesus. They did not teach me this one in Catholic. Wait, yes, he did. He said, it's not good, she answers, yet even so, Lord. He calls the Jews children. She calls them masters. He called her a dog. She accepts the office of a dog, as if she had said, I cannot leave the table of my Lord.
Schmuck from the club, you're getting blocked, period. If she fucked Myron, Fresh, John Zerka, even that homosexual Destiny, if you have an identity, and these guys talk about, I love their content, women, they can't even do that. They can't even, they fucking suck at everything.
Did you hear what he said?
Recently, I fucked this.
He was like, women, they can't even come. They basically suck at everything.
Jesus Christ.
18-year-old. I only fuck teenagers, right? 18, 19. What the fuck? Fucking pussies, bro. You guys don't fuck teens? Look at these guys, bro. Myron, when's the last time you had an 18-year-old? Be honest. What the fuck? You guys let me drown here?
Bro, the fucking cocaine is getting to your fucking brain. I feel like it's weird that you get turned on by girls crying.
Now you made it personal. You attacked my coke.
You attacked my coat.
Hey, you never crossed the line. You only snorted. Let's fucking go.
Wow. You know, you can really see why Zerka is blowing up in the red pill. He's hilarious. I mean, it's funny. But let me know if you guys have any other Zerka clips you want me to react to, or whoever else. Yeah, let me know in the comments, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. I really think we need to bring more comedy, edgy jokes back, because honestly, since women have gotten into things, we just police everything. We tell men what to say and how to say it. And I just think it's sad. I think men should be able to make jokes, and I don't think there's any subject really that should be off limit. But no, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, I might go lay down.
All right. I'm just waiting for this
From
game to be
SoCal
over.
to our family in Texas to back home in Jalisco. I take it all with me, and I always will.
Switch to Chrome to securely store your passwords, so you can sign in with just a click.
All right. See you later.
In 1984, I remember walking around London, like, it was all white. It went from, in 50 years, it went from 86% white to 36% white. This is not a complaint. See, if we were conservatives, this would be like a lament. Great.
It's a fact.
It's a fact, and it's a happy fact. We're living in the year when London is mostly people of color.
Yes, it is.
And I'm applauding it.
You go to Windsor Castle, okay? And the town, of course, is called Windsor. And it used to be, when I was a kid, all English tea shops with china, and everybody used to go there for afternoon tea. And you'd go to Windsor Park and watch some polo. And now, you go around there, there's no more fucking tea shops.
Right.
None of that.
Right.
It's Arabic restaurants.
Right.
It's Jamaican restaurants. It's Chinese. It is a complete and utter melting pot. And it's great.
And it's
great.
I mean, I remember being in England the first time in the 80s, and it was very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
How so?
Well, first of all, London was like all white.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
You know, so can we just celebrate that victory, that we made a place more diverse and not, you know, like, you never get a pat on the back.
No.
The people who like achieve, I feel like, in that area. There's only like, there's more to do. Of course there's more to do. But can we just get a little, hey, I think I read in Andrew Sullivan's column, like London went from like 36% to like 86% people of color, or something like that. No, maybe that's too high, but something like a 50 point swing, 50 points in 2 generations, 3 generations. Okay, that's progress. I'm not a bad person to like clap for progress.
If the tragic outcome of this is that the Jews, in fact, do need to all leave Europe, what would be the most Jewish thing for the last Jew to do, the most appropriate fitting thing?
One said that the last thing that a Jew should do when he or she leaves Europe is spit. I mean, I think that if
The Jews' last sigh.
Yeah, well, exactly. But if the Jews leave Europe, I have to say I will regard it, in some ways as sad, but I won't regard it as tragic, because I think the tragedy of Europe and the Jews has been in operation for
There's
a
been
very
plenty of tragedy
We're well
already.
past
I
that.
mean, this is not.
We're well past
But this
the
is
moment.
what, I mean,
We're
this is,
well
and you
past the
heard
moment.
this is what Hitler wanted.
Well,
you know?
I'm not worried about giving Hitler posthumous victories. I mean, I'm worried about the safety of the Jews and the flourishing of Jewish identity.
Not all the Jews are going to leave, so it's not going to happen. B, one of the things you realize when you travel around these places is that the Holocaust was extraordinarily effective. Poland is, I guess, probably the most obvious
Yeah.
example. Poland, which had 3 million Jews before the Holocaust, has now, I think, roughly 30,000 or so. Hitler lost the war, but he won much of what he wanted to win, and it's a sad fact, and it's true, and therefore I like Leon. I don't see it as a terrible tragedy if the Jews
when
leave
Ronald
Europe. The tragedy happened.
But you did say earlier that it would also be a victory for Judaism for Jews to stay in France. It's not entirely, it's a victory for France, but it also it is a bit of a problem for the Jews, isn't it, too?
I don't look, Judaism is portable. That was the great innovation that happened at the time of the burning of the Second Temple. We're dissociated. Judaism
From
portable.
place.
You can take it wherever you go, and the Jews have taken it wherever they go.
Ultimately, Europe needs Jews more than Jews need Europe.
I don't really care if Europe needs Jews.
I'm not representing the European Union when I say this. I'm just simply acknowledging that if Europe becomes an inhospitable place for Jews, it means it's an inhospitable place.
But we know that it's an inhospitable place. The burden of proof is on how hospitable it can become. Not, in other words, that's a great mystery.
Well, I'll tell you one final thing, James, about on that
Yeah.
point, which is, and this is a question I asked over and over again. I asked every European Jew I met, do you think that there is some sort of light at the end of the tunnel? No one is optimistic.
These are not Jews who are being made miserable in the Pale of Settlement or in Putin's Russia, which, by the way, will, as soon as he turns his attention from gays, it'll go to Jews. I have no doubt about it. Or in Argentina at a certain time, or in Iran. These are Western European states. So there is a certain pain that one feels because it does represent the failure of an experiment that we would like to see succeed.
Judaism will be fine, but the question
Well,
is the
that's
future of the
that's
liberal,
in the hands
the
of
liberal,
Jews. That's
in the hands of
the
Jews.
Goyim have no
Right.
impact on
But
that.
the question is the liberal experiment, right? And we're seeing all these Arab states trying to embark now on democracy, one form or another. And what does it mean if Jews aren't the frog in the pot, but in the sense they are the canary in the coal mine?
Right.
What we're really saying is, in a sense, liberalism has failed. If this doesn't work, it has failed in Europe. And what does that mean about the project
I think
worldwide?
that there is democracy in the United States, there is democracy in Canada. Both these countries would welcome these Jews. I think that after everything that happened in Europe, I don't need Jews to be martyrs for European liberalism or democracy anymore. This is the afterlife of the European Jewish community. This is the saving remnant. That community was destroyed.
Kev, you really transformed the place. Thanks, Tone. Spectrum One superfast internet with advanced Wi-Fi really leveled up our home.
And the free line of unlimited mobile is the icing on the cake.
It's time for the surprise. I present to you all Spectrum One Stream with the Zumo Streambox.
Wow, what's Zumo?
It's Stream and Simplified. Get internet for $49.99 a month, plus advanced Wi-Fi and one line of unlimited mobile free for 12 months. Plus add Spectrum TV to get Spectrum One Stream with a free Zumo Streambox for 12 months. Get Spectrum One Stream now.
Don't overspend, don't overthink, and don't waste time. Doing things that don't work for advisors.
I would prefer them to leave in a kind of way because I think it's not very safe to be there.
This is the ancient underside of Europe. This always was. This is not a new development. It takes certain new forms. The discourse takes certain.
But Leon, you have to admit that it's odd that this has happened in part in a fit of inattention by the importation of poor Muslims to labor on behalf of industrial Europe, by these Muslims being put in these ghettos and in disenfranchised positions. In other words, it's not what you would expect the course of history to lead you. I mean, this is not traditional European anti-Semitism in the main.
It is true that these new Muslim communities are the proximate causes of this crisis. But the non-proximate causes, the more distant causes,
or the treatment of these Muslim
communities, the societies to which they arrived, the prejudice that they found, the indifference that they found, and also, and I don't mean to take, to exonerate them of any responsibility in all this, and their apparent lack of interest in actually integrating.
The question I have, and I don't know if you know the answer or anyone knows the answer, is to what degree have Muslims tried to push in and have been repulsed, or to what degree do they not even bother to try? I think it's a complicated mix. But
I think I think there's a lot of blame to go around on both sides. I think that there's an irony in some of these countries that multiculturalism has been used as a reason for remaining indifferent to these communities. And then when you leave them alone, lo and behold, they are themselves fighting an internecine struggle with their own demons.
The big open question, I think, and this is what we hear in the French right, and in some quarters of the socialists, but not everywhere, is maybe Islam, or Islam in its French manifestation, is somehow different and is not meltable in the same way.
This was said about the Jews during the great debates about Jewish emancipation in the 18th, early 19th century in Western Europe. The argument always was that the Jews cannot be absorbed because they are a state within a state, because their laws and their way of life make them unassimilable. That they simply have a
do you think the analogy is actually correct?
I think the analogy is correct, but I think we're at a very, very early stage in the story.
One of the things that we do forget, and this needs to be said, is that many, many thousands, if not millions, of Muslims in Europe are trying to be integrated, integrate themselves.
No, this goes
no, it doesn't go without saying, because it doesn't go without saying, because there is a stereotype that this is all an unvariegated mass of future and current radicals who want to chop people's heads off, and it's not.
So where does that analogy take you, though?
It means we're at the beginning of a long process in which both the French community and the Muslim community are going to, as I say, experience certain shocks in their encounters with each other, and in the name of social peace, at least, they're going to have to begin to make adjustments. This happens in even the most benign situations. I mean, Muslim immigrants to Queens, right? They're already beginning to notice that their daughter was seen talking to some Italian kid who isn't obviously Muslim, or that she wore a skirt that was a little bit too short. I mean, this is the story of immigrants in the but one has to bear with it, and one has to direct these encounters, I mean this benignly, in the name of certain values that will open them up. And that is exactly what may be missing in the French case, where both communities seem to have very insular conceptions.
What I hear you both saying is, in the end, it hasn't worked, though. I mean, integration has
not really. No. These societies will not be sustainable unless the people who live in these societies find ways to live with each other. I mean, it really is that simple. It's not just a Jewish question.
The Jews are collateral in this, in a kind of strange way. I forgot who said it, but somebody said, when civilizations clash, Jews die. That's an overstatement in this case, except in some unfortunate instances. But we're seeing clash.
I just heard someone say that just recently.
Indigestible Muslim minority confronting a Europe that is paralyzed and doesn't even know itself anymore. And the Jews happen to be sitting there, and sometimes as an afterthought they're attacked, sometimes as a convenient scapegoat they're attacked. But they're not in a way part of the larger drama. They just sit there and get it in the neck. It's sad. Right. I think that's the way I would put it. Jews are not in control of what happens to Jews in Europe, and that is the best reason to sort of think about an exit.
Dude, you coming? Because the only thing dripping should be your style. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. With Alka-Seltzer Plus cold and flu relief. Also try for fizzy fast cough relief.
Bad lighting, bad acting, bad dialogue, awful music, and lots of sex. Pornography can be a very sensitive subject, since there are many different opinions about it. Whether you like it or hate it, we can all agree that watching pornography, like anyone else, has an effect on your brain. But what does watching porn do? And how often do you need to watch for effects to take place? Let's dive into the world of science to explain what pornography does to your brain. Effects of availability. When you think of porn, you might go right to the 70s, with the shag carpets and pizza boy plotlines. But when we think of porn, the word taboo comes to mind. The fact that you watched porn used to be something that was looked down upon and never spoken of. Like saying Voldemort's name. Shoot, I said it. Nowadays, it's much less of an elephant in the room. With the rise of the internet, pornography, like most everything else, became much more available. In his 2002 book, Striptease Culture, Brian McNair states about half of all internet activity is sex-related. Fast forward to 2004, MSNBC and Elle Magazine did a study regarding pornography where, out of 15,246 participants, 75% of the men and 41% of the women stated they had downloaded pornography via the internet. In the 2008 book, The Porning of America, they explain this phenomenon. Once porn became available, on demand, and it didn't risk a computer virus with every third click, more escalated topics were searched and more people watched porn in general. Less problems, more pleasure. When smartphones came out, teenagers jumped on the bandwagon and boosted the numbers once more. It's a mobile computer that can be taken out of adult supervision range. Kind of the perfect storm if you think about it. Effects on the brain. In a study done by researcher and author Barry Gunter, he found that teen males were more interested in more erotic types of pornography and wished they could experience it for real. It was also found that if the participant had a more positive or accepting opinion of pornography, they would be more often aroused when watching. Well, duh. I don't think that we needed a study to tell us that last part. Anyway, Patrick Fagan, PhD, compiled research on the effects of pornography on married individuals with families. Through his research, Fagan found that pornography can change someone's opinion or perception of what sex is. He also noted that males who regularly watched pornography had a higher tolerance for some fun and weird stuff in the bedroom. We see you, Christian Grey. They also may have a higher tolerance for seeing someone as an object rather than a person with value. Effects of addiction. Like anything else, too much of a good thing can have negative effects, so moderation is key. Look, chocolate cake is amazing, but you can't have a slice of decadent, sugary chocolate cake every day. Eventually, that can catch up with our physical health and bodies. The same thing can happen with your mind. In 2015, a group of researchers stated, frequent pornography exposure hasn't been fully studied, so there may be a lot more to the picture than what we know now. In 2011, Donald Hilton Jr. and Clark Watts did a study on pornography addiction. They found that the brain activity produced by cocaine addiction was identical to brain activity from pornography addiction.
That's
Similar
crazy.
Study was done in 2004 with methamphetamines and had similar findings. So, your aunt with a shopping addiction who's always ordering off Amazon or home shopping networks all at the same time, her brain might look a little something like this too. It's not all bad. We know that there's limited information on the subject, and the majority of it sounds really awful. So Gary Wilson came out in 2016 to remind us that we can't just say, oh, you watch porn, you see people as objects and are a trash human. No. Pump the brakes, baby cakes. He found that the times we saw more extreme negative effects from pornography overuse, that the same person also showed evidence and indications of mental illness. So there may have been other reasons as to why this person justified negative sexual preferences with pornography. Also, in 2016, another study was done regarding acceptance of pornography in marriages. So for the rest of us, how do you feel about your spouse watching porn? In this study, it was found that the majority of the couples didn't mind their spouse watching porn when they both engaged. Maybe not necessarily in the same room at the same time, but you get it. Specifically, wives in the study felt positively towards pornography.
Fucking
as
victory.
it's a way for them to gauge sexual satisfaction. You see something you like, you try it out. Might be a good time. Pornography can still be a sensitive subject to some.
Alright, I'm done.
But to others, it may be a part of their relationship or their self-care routine. No matter what